Actually, I would maybe talk a little bit more also about augmented reality, because somehow they get mixed, virtual reality and augmented reality, in the minds of the most people. I would just maybe highlight a little bit the difference between the two realities. On one side, you have this virtual reality where you go in another environment and you're experiencing something totally new, different from the environment that you are, like the example that you said, that you also have smells and you have the environment also shaking your world. In augmented reality is actually something where you stay in your environment and you have a layer with information or digital content that can expand the reality that you have. We have also a third kind of reality. This is mixed reality. Also starting with augmented reality, where you have this layer where you can interact with the reality where you are, with the environment, but you can change it. So you have something in the reality that can change or just put your hand on and interact with it, and it changes also in the digital layer. So I would say these are the three parts, and I think for augmented reality what I learned in the last years is that few people can imagine what happened. So in virtual reality, as you can explain much easier, that you put these glasses on, the goggles, and you see something that is not from this world. In augmented reality, it's very hard to explain to somebody what they will experience, because you have the reality what you have there, and it's just with the digital layer.
So I think, first of all, from what you said about virtual reality, we can get a lot of let's say, the environment is. Because basically, for the moment, I think in terms of how virtual reality affects the storytelling, it's about technology. So we are actually now at the point where most of VR experiences are not longer than 15 minutes. Generally, they are around 5 to 10 minutes, and this is because of technology. This is because technology cannot, you don't feel very comfortable in most environments if you spend more than 15 minutes. Also, to produce them, it's pretty complicated, either if you generate them, either if you film them. So actually, we don't know yet what the future will be, but what we can see is that it's very bright and it's very much changing.
I think another thing that we talk a lot about is empathy. It's a word that's used a lot with virtual reality, and I think for a really good reason. You know, what we've done a lot at Tribeca is we've brought a lot of things around social change and social responsibility, and I think in a lot of these cases you can't understand what it feels like unless you are literally immersed in that world. So one of the pieces we did was on what it feels like to be in solitary confinement, which is a deeply inhumane thing that for some reason we're still doing to people, and you have to feel what it's like to be in a 5x9 box with no windows. And then it's narrated by somebody who's been there, and the story kind of unfolds around you. Another thing we did was a virtual reality piece with Catherine Bigelow, which was called The Protectors, and that was you are in the jungle or in the weeds with these rangers in Africa who are trying to protect elephants from poachers, and it's terrifying. You know, you hear gunshots around you, you're in grass over your head, and you really get a sense of how dangerous this is and how sad the situation is. But I think it makes us more likely to take the next step as observers and say, okay, I actually want to do something about this, because I now know deeply what this feels like, and what it's like for another human being to go through this. I think, Sergio, you have experience with AR as well. Can you tell me a little bit about how empathy has come into play in the work that you're familiar with and the work that you're responsible for?
So what we are trying now to do with our startup, ARTVIVE, is like our claim is bring art to life. So, for example, if you have an art piece where an artist is working for, I don't know, say months, and he's getting his inspiration, he changes his mind, he works over and over this art piece. And actually you see at the end just the result. You don't see the whole story behind it. And I think with augmented reality, you can bring the story behind it. You can have a storytelling and also bring the empathy with the artist. So the artist can then choose either to show the whole process of creating this art piece, or what he was inspired by, or just to show some details that are very small and they are hidden in this art piece, but very important for the art. So I think when you look at an art piece, everybody has another understanding what it is and what it means, and that's actually the idea of art. But you can bring a little bit of storytelling. So if you're looking through augmented reality directly on that piece where it's hung in a museum, a gallery, or at your home, and you can see the whole process, how the artist was creating or what he changed during his process, and you can understand, okay, this was a work, and you can see and feel all the parts that took place in this art piece. I think it's the best way of empathy and bringing this emotion of art a little bit closer to the art lover or who's experiencing. So I think this is the part of empathy also, to be in the place where you are and using augmented reality, not to change the place, but to have a deeper look or on what's happening or what's beneath that.